Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha. I'm here with a family of seekers. We're reading through the Bhagavad Gita, and we actually just finished a very kind of like the heart of the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhakti section, right in the middle, chapters 7 through 12. We just finished, and today we're going to do our chapter 12 overview. So this is where we go through, we kind of try to distill the essence of the chapter and talk about some of the main takeaways and look at it from a little bit of a zoomed out perspective. So that's what we're doing today. And before we start, Shraddhanjali, do you want to say our prayers for us?
Yes. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य जनार्दनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada
Yes.
ki jai.
Jai. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Chantal. I was literally just thinking, I haven't seen Chantel this morning. I opened my eyes and there you are.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, so yeah, over the past few weeks, we've walked through this chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita. Again, the last chapter in the Bhakti specific section here. And the chapter, it's not just about devotion. It answers three of the biggest questions we can ask in spiritual life. So the first is, who is God? How do I have a relationship with him? And what kind of person will I be if I continue walking this path? So these are like the three main sections of this chapter. And so today, instead of like reteaching each verse, we're just going to step back and look at the chapter as a whole and see the progression. So first, in the first section, Krishna will tell us what path mostly or most deeply connects us with him. And then he compassionately meets us where we are and gives us practical steps to grow from wherever we are. And then in the last section, he shows us what happens when devotion really transforms the heart. So today we'll just talk about each section and some of the biggest practical takeaways for us. Does that sound okay? So the first section here is verses 1 through 7. Chapter 12 verses 1 through 7. And where we left off in chapter 11 is it ended with Krishna revealing his universal form. And so at this point in the Gita, Arjuna has now seen Krishna's personal form, his universal form, and he's heard about impersonal Brahman. And naturally, Arjuna has one big question. He asks at the beginning of this chapter, which path is ultimately the highest? Not, which is path is good, which path is bad, but he asks, what path most deeply unites someone with you? And Krishna explains that there's two transcendental approaches. So there's the personal path, and this is a loving relationship with God, a loving relationship with Krishna. Bhakti. Okay? And then there's the impersonal path. And this is meditation on this unmanifested, all-pervading spiritual reality. We call them Brahman. And this is also a genuine spiritual path. And so, and in this, he doesn't criticize this path. He answers Arjuna's question, which is, which path leads to the deepest intimacy with me? And Krishna answers, those who fix their mind on me personally, serve me, worship me with transcendental faith, these are the most perfectly situated in yoga. And not because the other path is false or wrong, but because love requires relationship. And you can't have a loving relationship with an abstract concept in the same way that you can with a person. It was funny, I was gardening yesterday and I was watching my daughter run up and down the steps. And she's so agile and she's just so like fresh. I walk up and down the steps. I have like some knee issues. My knees are hurting me. I'm looking at my daughter. I'm like, how is it that like my body can literally create another body, but it can't like give me some new knees? Like all I need is just like one new knee. I can make like a completely fresh, beautiful body for another person, but I can't, it can't fix my own knee. And then I got to thinking, of how this whole world, this whole material world is just set up for relationships. And like my body is built is to create another body that then we have such a sweet, loving relationship with. And as we move around in this world, it's so based on relationships. And we know that God or that man is in God's image. So it's like it's just preparing us for the ultimate relationship. And that's what all of this is about. It's quite beautiful the way that God set everything up, because he could have set it up that I could just replace my knees and I just live for myself and there's no, I don't need to have a child. I just keep going and going. No, God creates it so that we have relationships. We have that rasa in our lives. And it's very sweet. And the whole point of it is to remember God and to turn back towards God and to seek relationship with the ultimate supreme source of all relationships. So this is what God says is the highest. He says the highest is relationship with me. And the impersonal path is very difficult because it's not how we're wired. We're wired, we're relational beings. We're made to love. We are made to, we appreciate beauty. We seek connection. This is the way that we are designed. So when we try to meditate on something completely formless and impersonal, it's just a lot more difficult. And actually, when we really even obtain, liberation, we're likely just to fall down again because we're creatures of relationship. We crave that. We crave that pleasure and connection that we get out of relationships. So ultimately, personal relationship with God is the highest. And the beautiful thing about bhakti is that it doesn't teach us that we have to stop attaching ourselves from relationships. It's a path that guides us on how to attach ourselves to the highest relationship, and that is with God. Because ultimately our material attachments will bind us, but our spiritual attachments will liberate us. So the more that we could become attracted to Krishna, the less controlled we are by temporary attractions. And Krishna says, I will come and help you. He says something like that in this section. If we sincerely offer our lives to him, if we remember him, if we serve him, he will come and be our personal deliverer. This is what's available for us in this relationship. It's the highest. So bhakti is the supreme relationship. And we talked about the rope and the well analogy. This is a really beautiful analogy because it really captures the heart of bhakti. It's like imagine you fallen deep into a well, and one option is that somebody throws you a rope, and pulls you out, or you can try to climb out entirely on your own. But if someone's standing at the top and pulling with you, encouraging you, helping you, it becomes much easier and sweet. The whole process becomes sweet. You're not like struggling, gripping by yourself in isolation. You're being like encouraged, uplifted. This is bhakti. It's not Krishna's not distant. He's personally involved in our journey. And this is what Krishna tells us is the highest path. So if we have to summarize this entire first section in one sentence, it would be spiritual life isn't just about finding God. It's about entering into a loving relationship with a God who is already reaching back towards us. So after Krishna establishes that bhakti is the most natural path, he's going to answer another practical question, and that is, okay, I understand this is the highest path, but what if you can't do it perfectly? Then what do you do? So now in this next section, 8 through 12, Krishna's going to give us super compassionate teaching in the Gita, and that is the ladder of devotion. That is practical instruction just to meet us wherever we are. So from wherever you are, you can still connect with God. Even if you think you're just super fallen, super lowly, you've made a lot of mistakes, you're struggling like anything, there's still a way that you can connect with God through this bhakti path. And it'll just lift you right up out of that well. So that's the next section. Before we move to the next section, does anybody want to share anything about the first section?
I I love what you said about our body could make a whole other body, but we can't change our own, and that it's actually meant so we could have a relationship. That just blew my mind. I just want to say that.
Uh, yeah, it's beautiful, right? Like God could do anything. How simple would it be just to fix my knee alignment? Come on now. I just made this body. It's amazing. It's amazing. Narayani.
Hey, Hare Krishna. I actually have a question. I was wondering what you think, because you said that our goal is to have a personal relationship with Krishna. And sometimes, when you hear like that, people, they want to know what's their eternal form in the spiritual world, then sometimes I think, we cannot all be gopis and gopas, because the spiritual world must be more beautiful than ours, and ours is, especially in nature, is very beautiful. And just imagine if there was no flowers, no forests, no bushes where Krishna can hide behind, and creepers and butterflies and all that things, those things that then, I mean, it needs to be beautiful like that. And then sometimes I think that, even every blade of grass is probably just like fulfilled with this position, and maybe longing for Krishna to step on it or so. So I'm just wondering, is there something like this is fulfilling in it on its own, like as the end goal? I mean, I don't know if you even understand what I mean.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that I understand your question, but I know that in the spiritual world, no matter what service you have, if it's a very, if, quote unquote, small service, like being a blade of grass or a tree, or a very big service, like being a Krishna's parent, or, so a large service, One doesn't look at the other and think, I wish I was that. That's so much better. Or they're just so satisfied in their service for Krishna. Because the spiritual world, there's no envy, there's no greed, there's no comparison game. And it's hard for us to even imagine because we're so situated. We're so like drowning in that material consciousness. Like if somebody gets a bigger service than me, I automatically feel less than. Or the opposite. If I get a big service, then I feel proud. That doesn't exist in the spiritual world. And it's quite beautiful. Everybody is just who they are and just serving Krishna. And it's just something for us to learn from and aspire to. It's going to be difficult to for us in this material world to get there because there's so much greed and envy and pride and arrogance. But imagine if all of those things were gone out of the heart. Imagine how we could all just really be so nicely situated in whatever service we have and all really working together for just to serve the center. And it's beautiful because we all get to be who we are and our unique identities and propensities, and we get to serve the center, and we feel connected to each other in that, and we feel connected to the center, to God in that, to Krishna in that. And that is ultimate fulfillment. And that's where this bhakti path is trying to take us. And to the degree that we can clear our hearts of these anartas of pride, envy, greed, and false ego, arrogance, as to the degree that our heart gets cleansed of these, we can have glimpses of the material of the spiritual world right here in the material world. If we're doing our service, this is when our service gets purified, our intention gets purified, because we're doing it it's just selfless service to God. We're not looking for recognition. We're not looking for, I want to be, a taller blade of grass than this blade of grass so that Krishna sees me first. It's not like that. It's like we really just want to serve because we know through service that's the highest expression of love. And we're feeling so connected in that our heart is so fulfilled. So it's something to see and aspire to, but it is hard to even conceptualize because it seems so far away from our material conditioning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very beautiful how you said it. It makes so much sense to like not just be connected to Krishna, but also connected with each other and be completely satisfied in that service. That sounds, the way you described it, it's actually easier to understand than usually. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful question. Yeah. Okay. Next section, 8 through 12, part 2. Okay. So we established highest path is loving relationship with God, personal relationship with God. Now we're moving to this bhakti ladder. Krishna's going to meet us wherever we are. So this is good news for those of us that are super fallen and constantly messing up and realizing, just how self-centered we are. That's okay. Krishna will meet you where you're at and give you a way to reach him. So this chapter, or this section rather, begins with the highest expression of devotion. And this highest expression is fix your mind on me. Engage your intelligence in me. So this is like 24/7 thinking of God all the time. And for most of us, well, really all of us, okay, we live where our mind is, not even necessarily where our body is. Wherever our consciousness is really where we're living. So even if you're sitting at dinner with your family or driving to work, walking through nature, if your mind is consumed by anxiety, or replaying an argument or obsessing over success, that's where you're actually living. So the Gita teaches us if our mind is living with Krishna, then we're already beginning to live with Krishna. If we're always thinking, if we're always in God consciousness, we're already living with Krishna. And what we learn in this section is that our imagination reveals what we love. If we think about where our mind goes when there's downtime, or maybe not even downtime, just where our mind is constantly running to, what are you daydreaming about? What are you putting your energy into? Recognition, success, security, relationships, validation. What is your daily meditation? Notice that. And as our consciousness changes, as our consciousness evolves, we'll see that that changes also over time. Over time, it changes from this place of like, how can I be great? How can I get more? To how can I serve Krishna? This is the mind will change as we continue on this path. So this is the highest where our mind is, and our mind being fixed on Krishna all the time. And then Krishna says, if you can't do this, if you can't fix your mind on me all the time, no problem. Just practice. And a lot of us are here. We're just practicing. We're just trying. We wake up every morning. We spend the first little bit of the day, just trying to consciously fix our mind on Krishna. And even that, when we have no distractions at the beginning of the day, the house is quiet, even that it can be pretty difficult. You see the mind is constantly just running away. It's like a little child just running away. It's a process. It's a practice. We have to keep bringing it back. We're like exercising the mind. We have to do that. We have to train the mind. So he says practice. If you're not there where you're doing it 24/7, just practice. If you can't do that, if your life circumstances are not such that you can practice, or if you're just not there yet, then just start offering the results of your work to me. Whatever work it is that you're doing, just start offering it to me. And if you can't do that, then just try to move from being a little bit less selfish to a little bit more selfless. Offer the actions of your work to something bigger than yourself. So this is step by step how Krishna makes bhakti available to everybody. Again, if you're in that well and Krishna's lowering the rope, the first is like the rope is above your head and Krishna's like, stand on your tippy toes, grab the rope, you got it. If you can't do that, he'll lower the rope even more for you. Okay, now it's right in front of your chest, just grab it. I still can't do that. Okay, let's lower it down and let's just loop it around your waist. I'll pull you right out. Wherever you are, he'll just keep lowering the rope so that you can attain him. It's so compassionate. It's so compassionate. And Krishna doesn't ask for perfection. He never says just come back when you're more evolved. You're way too fallen. If you're feeling that narrative in your mind, that's your default conditioning. That's not what Krishna tells us. He says, wherever you are, just try. So if the mind is wandering, bring it back. Wandering again, bring it back. If you don't even have time to focus on to spend thinking of me, just whatever you're already doing in your life, just offer to me. If you can't do that, then whatever you're doing in your life, offer to something higher than you. Serve something higher than you. Try to get out of this I am the center mentality a little bit, from wherever you are. And many of us ask, we talked about this, see how many of you remember the answer to this question. How do I know if I'm growing spiritually? Does anybody remember the answer to this question? This is a nice one because we think about it a lot. And a lot of times we're kind of hard on ourselves. We feel like have so far to go, and most of us do. So that's good. But when we think about how we're growing spiritually, it's not quite the same as growing materially. Growing materially, we're thinking, am I more successful? Am I getting more respect? Am I more knowledgeable? Have I got a promotion? Am I getting more influential? This is not the same at all as spiritual growth. When we talk about spiritual growth, it's a completely different measurement. The question for spiritual growth is, do I want Krishna more today than I did yesterday? Is my attraction to bhakti increasing? Like, would I rather spend my time chanting, hearing, serving, remembering him? Do I spend more time doing that than I used to? Or do I want to spend more time doing that than I used to? When this becomes more and more true, we're making spiritual progress. So it's a very simple metric. Whereas maybe every night you used to come home and turn on Netflix and just try to zone out. Maybe now, one night a week, you go and associate with devotees and you really make that becomes like the highlight of your week. You're like really looking forward to that. Or maybe you used to make this podcast every once in a while, but now it's like you don't miss an episode. This is the metric of our spiritual life. Is our attraction growing? Is Krishna becoming our shelter? Are we really taking shelter of this process and this practice? This is the mark of spiritual growth. And even if you feel like I still have so far to go, that's okay because you're growing. You're going in the right direction. It's only a matter of time. I have a funny conversation with my boss. I just said time. It's only a matter of time. And I was just talking to my boss on Friday, and his time management. I'm like very strict on time management. Like if I say something starts at 7:30, 9 times out of 10, it's going to start at 7:30. Like he is like not that way at all. And I was telling him, man, we were talking about, some of the struggles we have with each other. And I was like, the only struggle I have with you is just your relationship with time. And he's like, oh, don't worry. In the spiritual world, we won't have any problems then because there is no time. So we're good. We're set. It was like the funniest thing. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're good. So we don't even have to worry about time. Just keep trying. Okay, that was a tangent, but it just reminded me of that when we talk about time, because I have a little obsession with time, I'll be honest. And we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so even ordinary life can be spiritual. So this is the lowest rung of the ladder. Again, raising children, cooking, working, running a business, caring for family. These things can be spiritual because it's not just what we do, it's why we do it. So if you're thinking my life is already so full, how am I going to add? I can't add a half hour of chanting every day. That's impossible for me. My life is so full. You don't understand. I have all these obligations. I have a job. I have kids. I have a spouse. No problem. You don't have to change anything in your life at all. Do exactly what you're doing, but start changing your consciousness around it. Start changing your relationship with it. It doesn't just become mundane, obligatory tasks that are just filling up your life. It becomes transformed into an offering to Krishna, to a service to Krishna. And in this way, ordinary life becomes devotional life. And I guarantee if this is you, if this is where you're at right now, and you just don't feel like you have the time to commit to a spiritual practice because your life is so full, once you do this, once you start consciously changing your intention around what you do throughout your day, Krishna will make time for you to even upgrade from that, to even practice, to start practicing devotional life. Even if it's just 10 minutes, you'll see Krishna will arrange things such that he'll facilitate you climbing this devotional ladder. This is how compassionate Krishna is. And then the lowest rung of the ladder. This is like our Hail Mary. If you can't do any of that, if you're like, I'm just not so much about thinking about Krishna right now, or even offering the fruits of my work to Krishna, I'm just not there. I just can't do it. No problem. Just start becoming a little bit less selfish. Just start becoming a little bit less selfish, a little less me, me, me mentality. And we'll realize that most of our suffering comes from living in this tiny little world that revolves around me, my success, my problems, my reputation, my happiness. I see this in my little 2-year-old. Like everything just revolves around her. It's unreal. And then it makes me realize when it bothers me so much how much I think everything revolves around me. Because now my whole world has to revolve around her. And it's like just constant resistance. Like, why do we have to do this right now? Or why are you throwing this fit and ruining my, perfect meal that I made? It's like that. And we realize most of my suffering is because I think everything's about me. And a kid is fully, that's a developmental stage. That's no problem. But we should realize that we're at the place now where our consciousness is capable of much more than that. And we should take this human birth as that opportunity to evolve our consciousness because it's so unique, this human birth. This is such a unique birth and the only opportunity. This is the only species, the only body that we can have that has this capacity for higher levels of consciousness. To understand that, hey, not actually everything is about me. And to the degree that I become less selfish and more selfless, I will actually become happier. Right now, in my 36-year-old body, I have the capacity to understand this. So let's practice, let's try. Because my 2-year-old daughter doesn't quite yet. My dog doesn't quite yet, to some degree. But I do. So let's not waste this opportunity. Let's take actionable items. Let's take actionable actions, intentional actions to become less selfish and more selfless. And we do this through loving service. Whether it's directly for Krishna or if it's just, again, becoming a little less self-centered than we were yesterday. Kids are a great way to try this out. It's like 9 times out of 10, I do not feel like doing what my daughter wants to do. But it's like, that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to do for the next hour. I'm just going to sit and do whatever she wants to do. Or a spouse. A spouse is a great way. A partner, a friend. Invite a friend over, cook a nice meal. Expect nothing in return. Just to do it out of selfless service. Push ourselves, stretch yourselves a little in this direction. Not to a place of panic, don't give too much, but just stretch ourselves. Try it on. Selfless service. So what's the message of this whole section? Krishna's not asking us to become perfect overnight. He's just asking us to take that next sincere step. So whether that's fixing our mind on him, practicing, working for him, offering him the results, or simply becoming a little more selfless. That's the latter. Fixing our mind on him, practicing, trying to fix our mind on him, working for him, offering the results, becoming a little bit more selfless. Whatever rung of the ladder we're on, it will move us closer to him. And this is the beauty of bhakti. No one is excluded. Krishna meets us exactly where we are. And just as lovingly, like at that next step of the ladder, just like cheering us on. Like, you can do it. Keep moving, keep trying. He'll even like lower that next rung just a little bit if it's a little bit out of our reach. Like, you got this. This is Krishna trying to coach us up the ladder, pull us up the ladder. And this is the compassionate path of bhakti. So this is the second section, 8 through 12. And we're on our way home here. We have just one more section. Do we have any shares before I move to this last section?
I just mentioned, it just occurred to me too that sometimes we could say, like, why is there a ladder at all? Like, why is there even a ladder? Like, to even go to that, why are there even rungs? But I think it just occurred to me, it's like he wants us to love him out of our free will.
Mm.
It's like if we didn't have free will, there's no ladder. He could just lift us up with his hand. But because love isn't love without free will, there are rungs, there is a ladder. I mean, like that seems like it's much deeper than I can
We have to do
comprehend.
something.
but we have to do something because that shows that we're actually using our free will. I mean, it's more satisfying even to us to use our free will. I mean, that's our whole problem
An
right now.
expression of our love.
And it's an expression of love. Like, how else can we express the love except by, trying to move up the ladder? And the ladder is that connection. But anyway, that just occurred to me like, oh yeah, free will has a lot to do with this. But Mariah has her hand up.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. Thank you, Stella. Love requires free will. Thank you. Mariah.
Yeah, I was just remembering I did this like life coaching thing one time. And one of the like things she had me do, she was like, just practice each day, just like doing one small act of like selfless service. This is kind of before I got really back into my Krishna consciousness, and I was just really struggling and going through a lot of stuff. And anyways, that's not the point. But she was like, just do one small act. Like, and she said herself, she was like, like if I ever see like a dirty sink in public, or it's like wet or it's dirty, I just like to clean around the sink. Just one small service, and that, talking about that one selfless act. And I started doing that at my work. Like the soap would get like real like messy around the bathroom, and the paper towels were right there. So I'd wash my hands, dry my hands. Then I'd just like wipe the sink and wipe the extra soap. And like, there was just something about doing that kind of regularly. It just brought me this like joy. I don't even know how to really explain it, but it was just like, oh, it's just like satisfying in one sense to see the clean sink. But it was also just like, yeah, you're just serving everything in a sense. It's serving everybody. And it's just satisfying, and it just kind of like brings this joy, even though it's something so small as wiping a sink, and so I just am like thinking of that life coaching and how it started us at that rung, that lower rung of just like one selfless service. And it's so simple to do that. It just gets you out of your head and out of your me thinking, like you're saying. And yeah, it's just beautiful. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah. Thank
Just
you.
wiping a sink.
It's proven by psychology. We need this. And we can do it in the consciousness of I'm so fortunate to have this service, instead of the consciousness of why are all my coworkers such messes? Yeah, it's all in the consciousness. Thank you. Okay, shall we move to the last section here? Shakti, good to see you. Good to see you, darling. Okay, the last section here, what spiritual maturity actually looks like. So now we're at like, okay, so the highest, like make personal relationship with God is the highest. And here's the ladder of devotion of which you can get there. And once, as you're moving up the ladder, it will start to transform your heart. And this is what a person with a transformed heart looks like. That's where we are. The qualities of a mature devotee. And there's a big list. This is in 13 through 20. There's a whole list of qualities. They're beautiful. A devotee gradually becomes less envious and more compassionate. They become humble instead of ego-centered. They become less possessive, more peaceful, more tolerant, more self-controlled, steady through happiness and distress. They don't disturb others, and they're not easily disturbed by others. They're less attached to praise and criticism, success and failure. And they're more focused on serving Krishna than getting a particular result. And these qualities are not something that we can just artificially manifest. These qualities are qualities that will grow as our relationship with Krishna deepens. So they become natural byproducts of this relationship. It's like anybody been in a relationship that just makes you a better person. Okay, so now we're talking about the supreme relationship and how that will transform your heart. And this is to the highest degree. I mean, this is a pretty high standard, but this is a supreme relationship. So think of the transformative power of the supreme relationship. And they're all describing this journey. This journey we're talking about from self-centeredness to Krishna-centeredness. From asking, what do I want? To asking, what does Krishna want? This is how everybody in the spiritual world is happy, whether you're a blade of grass or you have the highest service. They're not asking, what do I want? How can I be fulfilled? They're not looking to be independent enjoyers. They're so focused on, what does Krishna want? How can I best serve Krishna? That is their entire consciousness. And because of that, there's just no room for for is my service better than his? Is he getting more attention than me? What does this mean about myself? Do I have lower self-worth because I'm a blade of grass? And this is like, this doesn't exist. This is such a low consciousness compared to Krishna-centered consciousness. So as we study these verses, a few of these themes keep coming up. Learning to love real people instead of waiting for perfect people. We talked about that because the reality is most of us aren't there yet. Most of us aren't there yet. My friend's not there yet. My spouse isn't there yet. My mom's not there yet. I'm not there yet. And in the meantime, we're all in this together. And Krishna is so compassionate and loving to us all. Maybe we learn a little bit from that. Maybe we try to be a little bit more compassionate and patient with ourselves and with others. Appreciate people for what they are and give them grace for what they're not. And the same goes for ourselves. Another theme that we talked about in this section was becoming an instrument instead of making everything about ourselves. Making our mantra, how can I be an instrument of God's love? Instead of, how can I extract love from that situation? How can I get the most for myself out of that situation? How can I make things go my way? Instead, how can I show up as an instrument of God's grace? This is a beautiful daily prayer, a beautiful daily meditation. Again, even if you feel like your consciousness isn't there yet, just desire it, just pray for it. And in the meantime, letting go of our dependence on praise, success, external validation. If we don't let this go ourselves, if we don't decide to let this go, we don't make active steps to try to let this go, material energy will take it all away anyway. So it's like however you want it to be done. If you want it to just be a nice, loving process of letting go, or you just want it to be ripped off like a Band-Aid, we're gonna have to let go of our dependency on these things because they don't last. And that's what this material energy teaches us. We have to take shelter of that which is eternal. That's our relationship with God. And then another theme here, replacing anxiety about outcomes with sincere service. So when we're in this me-centered consciousness, we're constantly worried about how the next thing is going to fall. What's going to happen? How many people are going to show up at my program? What's this person going to think? Am I going to make enough money? Whatever it is, if we can replace that with our desire for sincere service, just I'm going to do my best with the limited knowledge and wherewithal that I have to to act as an instrument for God in whatever service I have. And I'm going to let go of the result, knowing that I don't own it, that I don't even ultimately control it. and that it's not about me. It's never been about me. And instead, ask, how can I serve Krishna in this situation? Instead of, is this good or bad for me? How does this look for me? What does this mean for me? How can I serve Krishna in this situation? So all of these qualities that we learned in this section are all different expressions of the same heart. And this is a heart that is becoming more absorbed in Krishna. As we become more and more absorbed in Krishna, these qualities will just emanate naturally. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to manufacture them ourselves. They will just overflow in our hearts. And then the final couple of
their
verses
city
of
was
this
being
section
bombed.
are
They didn't
about,
know, and after it was bombed, they didn't know if all the militias
oh,
and
I
the
think I
gangs were going to be
hear
out on the street
Kastuba.
killing
What
people.
a
It was huge.
blessing. Somebody playing Kastuba? I love Kastuba. Wonderful person. Talk about a Vaishnav. Thank you for that. You get purified. So the last couple verses of the section are about faith. This is where the chapter ends. It ends with faith. So he lists all of these beautiful qualities, and then he says faith. He says, those who follow this imperishable path of devotion, making him their supreme goal, are very dear to him. Not because they're perfect, but because they keep showing up. They keep practicing. They keep letting Krishna transform their hearts because they have faith in the process. This is like, if you take anything away, just practice faith in the process. Just have faith in the process, and just keep endeavoring. Just keep stretching up that ladder. And Krishna will carry you the rest of the way up, and then these qualities will just overflow. But we have to have faith. We have to have faith, because that's how we even start. That's how we get the impetus, the motivation, the determination to keep climbing. We have to have faith in the process. We have to know that these qualities are a byproduct of absorption in God. So as we step back and look at this chapter 12, we see this beautiful progression. First, Krishna shows us that spiritual life is ultimately about relationship. Then he reminds us that no matter where we are, there's always a next step we can take towards him. And then finally, he shows us what happens when we keep taking those steps. Over time, our hearts begin to change. We become less envious, less fearful, less self-centered, more compassionate, more peaceful, more steady, more loving. Not because we're trying harder to become good people, but because a genuine relationship with Krishna naturally transforms us. And I think this is just one of the most encouraging messages in the Gita, is that Krishna isn't asking us to just possess all of these beautiful qualities. He's just inviting us to keep showing up, to keep chanting, to keep serving, to keep remembering him. Just keep taking that next sincere step, and to trust that the transformation will come. Not through our own endeavor, but through that divine grace that comes, that's showered down as we're being supported up the ladder. So if I had to summarize this chapter in one sentence, it would be: Bhakti begins as something we practice, but over time it becomes who we are. Bhakti begins as something we practice, but over time it becomes who we are. And this chapter begins by asking which path is best. And then it ends by showing us the kind of person that the path produces. So this is our journey through chapter 12 together. It's so profound. It's a short chapter. It's just 20 verses, but it's very profound, very impactful. It's like the cliff notes of devotional service. Like this is, you have this chapter, you're ready to get started. So next week we'll start, or not next week, Thursday, we'll start chapter 13, where Krishna shifts the conversation again and starts explaining the difference between the body, the soul, and the field of activity. We'll get really into this yana section of the Gita. So until then, let's just each keep trying to take that next sincere step towards Krishna, whatever that looks like in our lives, in our days, in our unique journeys. So thank you all for joining, for being here. And if we have any final reflections here, I'd love to hear from you all. Teen, good to see you in person. We are talking. Is Tanmai still on? Did Tanmai drop off? Tanmai still on. Martine found this beautiful spot in Maine for a retreat, and Tanmai and I are talking about doing a couples retreat together there next summer.
Yes, I've sent them an inquiry. I'm just waiting to hear back from them. So.
Oh, amazing!
Let's hope it works. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Okay, any reflections from the class or anything? Anything you want to share? Mariah?
I just have like what mercy and how sweet this process is. That's all I have. Just such mercy.
Yeah, let that be a lesson for us. How much compassion Krishna has. How we could be more compassionate with ourselves and others. I used to do this with dieting. I would really I can't do this. I can't eat this. I can't eat this. If I ate this, I'd feel bad, guilty. And then somebody gave me this, Banu Nandini. You guys know Banu Nandini? She gave me this advice for dieting, like treat yourself like you would like a little child. Like you're just struggling. You're just not there yet. So you don't have to constantly slap your wrists. Like that's not going to help. Just give yourself a little bit of love, like you would a little child. When she said that little child, I was like, yeah, I do not treat myself like a little child at all. But we could all do that. Have a little bit more compassion for ourselves and our shortcomings. It's okay. We're just learning. We're just stumbling around. Just keep trying.
Yeah.
Jai. Anybody else? Quiet group. Kalachandji, Stella, you guys don't have anything for us today?
Yeah, which we just said it's like the great grace, to give yourself grace. The same way we can acknowledge or ask for grace from Krishna, we could give it to ourselves in this process. I mean, I just feel incredibly lucky to be right where I am this minute with all of you. It took free will to do it, but I'm just feeling like it's a shower of mercy. We really help each other. It's so great. If even if I was just alone, like I could try, but to do this hour with all of you, just like you were saying, like in the spiritual world, we're together, we're into helping each other, which is, it's quite beautiful. So thank you. It's wonderful to hear.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing about community. It gives us this container to even try to practice some of these things together, an association of like-minded souls that are just trying, and we become purified in the process. We really need each other.
I usually run away from these things, and I look forward so much, these twice a week. This is just different.
I really like being with everybody who's at a different level because, whether you practice for 30 years or you just began, you know, we are all trying our best and not there yet. And and I love that. It makes me happy that people are here. They're brand new. Like I just it re- it's wonderful. Thank you for doing this service.
Thank you.
Radhariti.
Yes, of course. It's my greatest honor to be with you all. Beautiful. Any closing remarks from Erin before we go for the day? No?
Honestly, I'm just struggling with the ladder a little bit because I feel like I'm on multiple rungs, and I love a good analogy, but I'm just like, but how must you like, you know, uh, achieve one before you go on to the other? Do you even ever achieve one? Or are you always working on
Oh, wait, hold on.
all of them eventually?
Y-
So I've just been thinking about the ladder.
Yeah, maybe it's not so linear. Maybe it's
Sure.
like we get more expert at getting up that ladder. But some days we may be on the lowest rung. Some days we may be a little bit higher. And as time goes on, maybe we get a little bit more consistent and steady in our climbing of the ladder. It's a little easier to stay on that third rung, where now it's just we're reaching for it. We get there, but we kind of fall back down. That's okay.
Hmm.
So maybe it's not like a step by step by step, but it's a journey, it's a progression, and it's maybe not always linear. Yeah.
Totally fair.
We we've been thinking and talking. We've been thinking and talking about this a lot in the last week or so. Actually, I think it's like some other things. I think it's a recursive process. It's not that once like you go from one to two to three. It's you keep adding rungs that you can go to, but you still go back to one. You're always doing one. You're always doing two. You're always doing three. At least that's the way I see it. It's recursive. It becomes more inclusive, not progressive in that sense. At least from my experience.
Yeah, you don't leave rung one behind. You incorporate it. And sometimes you're still aware of it and you're still kind of like, but it's not left behind per se. It's still part of us, especially in the material. I would think. And it's almost like instead of a ladder, maybe it's just a hill and we're just, you know, we're going around it and we come back to that same point where we were, but then, but then we want to go see that tree and then we come up, but then we still see the other place, like it's still all there. Right.
Yeah. So nice. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up, Erin. Thank you for the beautiful clarification, Kalachandji and Shraddhanjali.
Could
Okay,
I
my
add
friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Meg. I wasn't going to call you out, but
I still can't figure out where the hand is because I'm on my iPad. Anyhow, I look at it. I love the ladders and I love the analogies because that's how my mind thinks. But I also look at things like an S. Like when I drive places, I love when I have time to go from A to B when I can snake around and go off the beaten path. And so I look at like you said, it's not linear, but distractions and disturbances, things like that, those are also gifts from God. What do I need to learn? What do I need to learn more thoroughly? Or how can I help somebody? And so, as opposed to just through my time, and I look at, I'm embracing distractions. And then it gets me, okay, now let's focus. This is a distraction where I have to learn to focus, or this is a distraction that I have to learn something deeper. And so there's no contest of who gets to the end. But when I travel, there's all these little articles, you can find off the beaten path. And so I'm embracing those as I embrace my life. And so as we maybe snake's not the right word, but as we, go through life, I think it's wonderful. But I'm embracing distractions and disturbances. So anyhow, thanks.
surrender. Yeah, sometimes it's surrendering to the service God puts in front of you. Nice. Thank you, Meg. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you all for sharing your hearts and for showing up, taking this journey together. And we'll see you all on Thursday to start chapter 13 together. Thank you all.
Yeah.